Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at Tentacruel in the Ultra League. In this season's balance patch, Tentacruel got access to Payback, which allows it to hit ghost types for super effective damage. Normally as before, it couldn't really hit ghost types since psychic types have really effective damage, but with this season's move updates, it has access to Payback, which is able to hit back for ghost and psychic types with super effective damage. Let's go ahead and get right into battles. Hop in the first match with Malamar versus Guzzlord. Not the best lead. In fact, this core breaks our entire team, fun fact. So, all we can pretty much do is just stay in, as Tentacruel and Jellicent can't really do anything to Guzzlord because all moves are resisted. As we can just stay in here, just go for foul play, but they actually let it go. And the reason why I go for foul play is because I don't want to debuff my defense and attack early, so that's why I went for the foul play. Going for the superpower right here. This for big damage right there. I can just swap in the Tentacruel right here, and in comes Shadow Victory Bell. Shadow Victory Bell will take a lot of damage from the skull right here, and actually just let it go. So I probably should just went for the payback right here. So the reason why I just built up to the payback and throw for skull is because all Victory Bells shield everything, since Victory Bell is not the tankiest around in the Ultra League. And in comes the attack debuff for the Victory Bell right here, and all we can do is go for another skull right here. But I actually decided to overfarm a bit, so I decided to shield this up. And do I overfarm a bit more? I actually decided to overfarm a bit more, up to 2 more poison stings, and going for the skull right here. Going for skull right here does take out the Victory Bell right there, and in comes Guzzlord. Guzzlord going to be hit with the skull right here. Skull going to get the final shield from the Guzzlord right here, and in comes Jellicent. Jellicent is in a comfortable spot where this Guzzlord is actually low enough where we can actually able to hex down and farm down in time, which is pretty nice. But he does actually get to one more final move from the Guzzler right here, and in comes Annihilate right here. Annihilate is not gonna appreciate this Shadow Ball right here. This won't quite kill, but a couple more hexes will, and it does get to a Rage Fist, and that's perfectly fine, as our Malamar is perfectly in side wave downrange, and that's a good game right there. Hop in the next match with Malamar versus Shadow Typhlosion. This is perfectly fine right here. I just basically can just stay in right here and farm to a lot of sideways right there, up to 3 incinerates and throw for foul play right here. Malamar did also get another buff this season where foul play does extra damage now. I believe it does 5 more extra damage now. So but this is a tentacle showcase, so, and able to throw in good timing right there as a throw an incinerate right there, going for a foul play right there, and able to not get the foul play off in time, as they're able to reach this thunder punch right there, and in comes Swampert right here, as Swampert is able to reach to 5 mud shots, that which is a Hydrokin right there, and I can just easily throw a foul play and just bring in Jellicent, as Jellicent has a dominating matchup against Swampert right here. Since Earthquake doesn't quite two-shot, as my Jellicent is basically a rank 1 right here, I'm going for the sword right here thinking it might kill. It actually does not kill, which is interesting, and Swampert's able to survive on 1 HP. Going for the Hydrokin right there, which just put me low, and in comes Shadow Typhlosion, able to give me a hit with the Surf and knocks it out, and in comes Ferrothorn. I'm gonna swap into my Tentacruel right here, and this is what Payback is for. Payback is able to hit for Ferrothorn for neutral damage, as were before. Without Payback from previous seasons, it was actually fully rolled by Ferrothorn due to typing and stuff. And Payback right there does a lot of damage, which is nice. They go for a Payback right there, and they actually swapping the Swampert right here. I survive on 1 HP, so rank 1 IV's coming clutch right there, so that's a good game right there. Hop in the next match, Battle League right here. We swap into a Jellicent right here, and Jellicent able to get another hex through, and Floor just goes for Chilling Water right here. Chilling Water doesn't do a lot of damage, as it's resisted, and that Shadow Ball did nothing. And in comes a Dun Sparks, which is something you don't really see every day in the Ultra League right here, and that Surf did nothing due to that Chilling Water debuff. I swap back into the Malamar right here, as I can easily just tank this Drillbone no problem, as they do have a lot of energy right here, and that's perfectly fine. This energy will pretty much do no damage to my Malamar right here, and I can just go for a superpower here. And I'm not quite familiar with Dun Sparks' bulk, and actually does survive that pretty comfortably, so, which is completely fine. They actually come back into the floaters right here, and they're able to take out my Malamar with the Chilling Water, and in comes Tentacruel. Tentacruel can easily just let this go, as Florges' moveset is basically walled by Tentacruel. Tentacruel able to farm a bit more, so we don't get an Nara debuff right here. Throwing before the chilling water, and in comes Gliscopod. Gliscopod, perfect matchup for Tentacruel right here, as we're able to get another Skull debuff in this matchup right here, and able to gonna let this go right here. X Scissor does basically nothing, and going for a Payback right here. Payback will do some pretty okay damage right here. Does some pretty good damage even when debuff too. And in comes Jealous. I'm gonna swap back into Jealous so I can reset debuff on my Tentacruel right here. And Jealous and can easily let this go. Although the Shadow Claws do add up, and the Dun Sparse does have energy, it really can't do anything at this point. As can we just try to farm out in time? We're actually to attempt to farm them, but you know what? Since this is fine, we can just easily just shield our Jealous and and going back into Tentacle right here, and in comes Gliscopod. Gliscopod, that's perfectly fine right here. As I just let this go because I know I have to move on Jellison right here. Jellison can easily just close this up, but I actually do not reach the Payback in time. Skull will be enough to kill. Will be enough to kill the Gliscopod right there, and that's a good game. Hop in the next match with Malamar versus Drapion. Not the best league right here, so we got face up into a Tentacruel again, and they're staying in. So my guess that they're pretty weak to Tentacruel in the back. So pretty much like I think like a fairy type of Florges or a Clefable in the back. And gonna let this crunch go as it does no damage. As my IVs on Tentacruel is basically a rank 1 XL Tentacruel, level 50. Drapion goes for a crunch right there and not able to get the crunch debuff, which is really nice. Going for a skull right here, hoping to get an attack debuff, which we don't get an attack debuff, which is fine, as we can just easily just shield this up. Crunch does get a debuff right there, and we can just easily just perfectly able to farm down in time. And in comes Feraligatr. Feraligatr gonna be hit with this Payback right here, and this is where Payback comes in handy. It does half damage, which is insane. Able to survive on 1 HP, able to get to another Payback right here. Payback does get a shield right there, and in comes Jellison. I didn't want to bring the Malamar because I do know that 2 Hydro Cannons will be enough to kill the Malamar, as this Feraligatr is a Shadow. Shadow Feraligatr hits like a truck. Jellison is able to tank the Hydro Cannons no problem, and I can just go for a sword right there to get the final shield, and they basically need to throw, as Hydro Cannon will be enough to take it out, and I'm trusting in Malamar. And in comes Skeletor right there. The opponent concedes the match, and we take the win right there. So GG's to my opponent right there, and we can just skip this match because I don't know what they were doing. So they were basically giving out free wins, I guess. So anyways, hop in the next match of XL Malamar into Ampharos right here. This is not a bad matchup for Malamar whatsoever, but all I need to do is just keep alignment, as my Tentacruel, my Jellicent does not want to see the Ampharos. They go for a Dragon Pulse, so running a weird interesting Ampharos moveset. So my guess they're running Brutal Swing Dragon Pulse. But anyways, in comes Virizion right there. Gonna go with the superpower here. Superpower does good damage right there, and able to put Virizion in the yellow. So Malamar putting a lot of work in this match. Virizion goes for a Leap Blade right there. Leap Blade does connect right there, and in comes Tentacruel right here, and in comes Trevenant, sorry. Going for a Payback right here, and this is where Payback actually helps against Ghost types. As I said in the beginning, Ghost types is what Tentacruel used to struggle the most, as now with Payback, it's able to hit back for super effective damage. Trevenant go for a C-Bomb right here, and we can just easily go for, and this is where I made a big mistake. I should not have gone for a Skull right here. I should have just gone for the Payback right here, but we do get an attack debuff too, so I'm guessing that maybe just not end the world right here, and I may have just done this game, as I can just easily let this go, as their Trevenant is debuff right there. Shadow Ball does do some quite insane damage right there, so it's perfectly fine, as that basically kills it right there. And in comes Virizion right here, and am I able to get to the Shadow Ball in time right here? But they actually have back-to-back right there, which basically causes me to lose the game right there, as Virizion able to take me out with the Leap Blade right there, and so that's a good game to them. So GG's my opponent right there. Hop in the next match with Malamar versus Regidrago. Regidrago also got a buff for, it has a Vice Grip being good now, I think. So Malamar going for a Foul Play right here does good damage right here, as Foul Play does actually doing extra damage now. I think it's easily in two foul play ranges, along with the side waves right there. Able to shield the Dragon Energy, no problem right there. Going for another Foul Play right here. Foul Play does get a shield right there, and and we do decide to let this go, as I do know this won't kill, as Dragon Energy did receive a bit of a nerf. It does 10 less damage now than usual, so going for a foul play right here, does get a shield right there, and in comes Tentacruel right here. Tentacruel, with the opponents being down a shield right here, that's perfectly fine, and in comes your opposing Tentacruel right here, as we do have Payback, as Payback is able to hit the mirror for neutral damage right here, rather than being walled and throwing skulls, as the Tentacruel mirror was actually annoying for the longest time, but with Payback now it actually gets less annoying. Going with Jellicent right here, as I do know that I can just easily start with Payback right here, and they're actually not carrying Payback for some reason. I thought they were. I thought all Tentacruels were supposed to be on Payback this season, but I guess people don't know about it yet, or it hasn't been covered too much on YouTube, but I'm not too sure. But they actually make a great catch on the Regidrago, catching the Shadow Ball on their Regidrago right there, and in comes Tentacruel. Payback does big damage against Jellicent right here, and this is where Tentacruel is so back in this meta, in this season right here. Payback able to hit back for ghost types, especially against Jellicent, which is the most common ghost type in the UltraLeague meta right now. Able to hit back for super effective damage, and that is why I believe Tentacruel is so back in this meta. Hop in the next match, we have Malamar versus Credilli right here. Credilli able to get the debuff right there, and in comes Forges right here. My phone tend to lag the bit there, so that's why it's a bit choppy right now, but it's all good right now. Tentacle able to go for a Scald right there. Scald going for a does good damage right there, and we can easily just let this go. Chilling Water does no damage right there. As I said before, Forges does nothing against Tentacruel. I mean, Trailblaze does do damage, but it's pretty much in the back right there. In comes Corviknight. It's actually an air slash Corviknight too, so I'm not too familiar with Corviknight's counts for air slash, as mostly because Sand Attack Corviknight is more preferred than air slash Corviknight, but it's all good though. I thought that would be enough for Payback, but I decided to shield, but it's just an air cutter and they get the boost, so I'm actually scared if got the Payback, but actually no, they don't get the Payback. They actually swap back into Credilli right here. Shadow Ball does good damage right here, and in comes Malamar, able to go into CMP sack swap, and Superpower does connect right there, and in comes Forges right here. I can just easily just go for a foul play right here. I'm not sure if Superpower does more or foul play does more damage, because I know foul play they get a boost in damage this season, so I'm not sure which one's preferred in the fairy type matchup. But anyways, going for another foul play right here. Foul play does get the final shot right there, even when debuff too, which is interesting. And going for a Payback right here. Payback does good damage right there. And can we get to another Payback in time? Yes, we can. And we're able to take out we're able to take this game with Payback Tentacruel. So GG's to my opponent right there. Hop in the next match for Malamar versus Como. Oh, this is perfectly fine right here. As Sideways do add up on the Como right there. Foul play. They do decide to let go of the foul play right here. And I do know this is a Clanging Scales right here. Clanging Scales does do big damage, which is big. And in comes Typhlosion. Typhlosion gonna be hit with a Thunder Punch right here. I can just farm to 4 Poison Stings right here and throw a Skull right here, hoping to get a shield or get the knockout. And it does get the shield right here, and we don't get the attack debuff, which is really bad. Typhlosion going for a Thunder Punch right there, and going for a Skull right here. Skull will pretty much do big awesome damage right here, and I do decide to double shield right here, as I do believe I do need to swap for whatever's in the back. And gonna do 2 Poison Stings and gonna throw a Skull right here. Tentacruel putting in so much work right now, and in comes Como right here, and I do swap back into the Malamar right here, as Malamar is gonna be meet with the Feraligatr right here, as Foul Play does good damage this season, and I can pretty much notice a difference in like previous seasons Foul Plays like damage and versus this season, as the difference is quite big. Although the Shadow is preferred on Malamar, I don't have a good Shadow yet, so that's why I'm running my regular Malamar. But when I get the Shadow, I'll definitely be trying it at some point too. And in comes Tentacruel right here, able to get the Payback off right here. Payback gonna take out the Como right there, and once again Tentacruel proving to be a strong candidate for the UltraLeague meta. Anyways, hop in the final match. We have Malamar once again into Guzzler. This time it's shiny, and that's perfectly fine, as we can just easily just stay in right here and do some pretty impactful damage against this Guzzler right here, as we do that get a shield. So that's what I like doing the most times, to go for foul play first, because I don't want to um debuff myself right away. And income, and gonna go for the superpower right here, and gonna go. Do I let this go? I actually do I let it go, and that's perfectly fine. As I do that, this, and I did get a shield, so shield advantage Tentacruel is gonna go ham in the Ultra League. Dragon Claw does a lot of damage, even to a bulky XL Pokemon. Dragon Claw did receive more damage and more energy, so that's to be expected. And in comes Decidueye right here, and and what typing is Decidueye, you may be asking? It's a ghost type. Yeah, Payback will pretty much be doing big damage right there. It isn't quite one shot, as it's not stab, but this is why Tentacruel is hitting that so good right now. And against Drugality too. Payback is great coverage against it. Look how much this Payback does. That's good meaningful damage right here. As Payback is able to hit for other poisons, for neutral damage right here, and everything. Against like ghosts, psychics, everything. So against like Cresselia and Giratina right here, it's able to hit back for super effective damage. Not that Cresselia is ever used these days, but you know, going Goon Jellicent right here, and they actually catch my Shadow Ball right here, and actually decide to actually kind of found my loose con right here. So my loose con is basically shielding up an Aqua Tail right here, and do I decide to shield here? I think it's an arrow right here, but they actually decide to throw an Aqua Tail right here, and they actually able to all pace me by a turn right there, and that's gonna seal the deal right there, and they actually get the kill right there. So GG's to my opponent right there. So what do I think about Tentacruel in the Ultra League? To be honest, I enjoy Tentacruel. With his new move to Payback, it's able to hit for ghost types with super effective damage, psychic types with super effective damage. Although Tentacruel has fallen off from previous seasons due to Belly Bolt being everywhere, but now with Belly Bolt being nerfed and Parabolic Charge being more expensive as it is, and Payback being given to Tentacruel, I do believe Tentacruel is so back in the Ultra League meta. You do have to watch out for ground types though, like the mud thoughts whatsoever, but you have Scald anyway, and Payback does a lot of damage, even against in the mirror. As we saw in the mirror, there was like a Tentacruel mirror, right? We actually able to throw a Payback to it. As before, mirror was really annoying, as because all you had to do was just throw Skulls against each other and get a debuff, right? And that depended on who had better IVs, but with Payback now, it's able to hit the mirror for neutral damage, and it's able to hit Giratina, Cresselia, any other ghost types for super effective damage with Payback. So yeah, I do believe Tentacruel is so back in the Ultra League meta now, as I do believe it's now top meta once again. Thank you guys so much for watching, and always next time, I'll see you guys all in the next one.